Torah class. We are in Genesis today. Genesis 41. Let's see how far we go into Genesis chapter 41. Last week we dealt with Genesis chapter 39 and 40. And there we saw what transpired between household of Potiphar, how the wife wanted Joseph to come out of the covenant way. This that is it. How Potiphar wanted to ruin Joseph. Joseph is a type of Yeshua, we said last week. By type of Yeshua, it means Joseph had most of the characteristics that we see. Part of the characteristics of Yeshua were exhibited in the life of Joseph, and that's what Yahweh is teaching us, that we show that characteristics of Yeshua, because he is the word himself. We must exhibit that, and that word is embodied in the covenant. So yes, last week we saw Joseph in the house of Potiphar. Potiphar, how do we spell it? And the wife of Potiphar being wife of Potiphar, and the issue was on the covenant commandment. Here, Joseph kept the covenant commandments. This woman came puncturing this covenant commandment. Let somebody remind us the area the woman went in. Adultery and lies, falsehood. So she tapped on these two and lied against Joseph so that the man remained in prison. So this brought Joseph into prison on what she did not know, what she did not do. He ended up in prison, but Yahweh was with him. Even in that prison, Yahweh was with him. Yahweh was with him in the house of Potiphar. Yahweh was with him in prison. And Yahweh was with him until he explained the dreams of Pharaoh's servants. So explanation of the dreams of the Pharaoh's servants at the end of the day. Well, the servant, the butler, forgot him, but somehow he came out, though it took some time, after 2 years. But still, it was based on that explanation of the dream that was interpreted to the butler that at the end of the day made butler to remember. So this evening we are going to look at how this butler suddenly woke up and said, I've wronged this man. I forgot. All right. And last week we are told the part of the reason why he forgot. Everything is in Yahweh's calculation and Yahweh's working. If he had come out that too early, he would have entered into the service of Pharaoh. But who knows whether he would have qualified to enter at that time. He must get at the age of 30 to enter into that service. And he is to hold portfolio of deputy prime minister. That is the deputy pharaoh, if you like. Deputy pharaoh. but he has to qualify, have to reach certain age to get there. So the age of 30 was the prime age, the very age that is required. So at the time, the two servants of Pharaoh who were at the end of the day let out, one was killed, the baker, the butler was restored. At that time he was 28, 2 years. So by the time it clocked these 2 years, the man remembered. Pharaoh had a dream, and calling them to interpret it, the man was not able to do anything, but he remembered the one who had the wisdom, the skill of interpreting the law. So we will see how this skill of Joseph worked out here, like the skill of Daniel. Daniel and Joseph were, alike in terms of interpreting dreams or the vision, revelation of Yahweh. Let's look at Genesis chapter 41. And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years, we can see it now, that it was after 2 years had exhausted, when these two dreamers, the Pharaoh servants, the butler and the baker, after 2 years had elapsed, after 2 years they came out from that place. Now something happened in the life of Joseph again. So Joseph will gain his freedom after these 2 years, because Yahweh, you see, everything works in accordance to Yahweh's master plan for every one of us. We are in his hands. Don't think you live your life, you exist in the way you exist by virtue of your wisdom, not knowledge, or whom you think you are. No. We work in accordance to Yahweh's timetable, Yahweh's way of life, and Yahweh's, fulfillment of his goal for us. Now, after the 2 years was full, that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river. Pharaoh dreamed, Pharaoh's dream. So here we look at Pharaoh's dream. So what is the dream about? What did he dream? He was by the side of the river, and something happened. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-flavored kine and fat-fleshed, and they fed in a meadow, grass around the waterside. Favored kine. That kine there is cow. Is cow. What's that? Now, they said there were 7 cow, or 7 cows we are feeding within the riverside of the, riverside. Ostensibly could be grass, the middle. Now, let's see what was going on. And they were fat, very, very fat, well-fleshed, big, huge. Verse 3, and behold, 7 other kine cow, that is cow, came up after them out of the river, ill, favored and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kine upon the brink of the river. So another cow or cows, 7 of them stood by the same side of the river, and they were feeding, but they were lean. Bible said they were, let's see the word used there. So they were ill-favored. That is, they were lean. ill-favored. They were lean, thin. So we have the fat ones, big ones. We have the ill or lean or little ones. Tiny, because though they were feeding more than even the fat ones, yet they were lean. Two types, and they were 7 as well. 7, lean. So all these depict something which we are going to see. Two different type of cows. One type, there are 7 of the type, they were big, and another 7 types, they were lean. So 2 types of cows, 7 each, feeding within the same environment. Now, these 2 depict something, and this 7 depicts something. So Bible is going to tell us what they stand for. Bible interprets itself. So this dream will interpret itself. But the magicians or the bakers, the butler, and all the servants of Pharaoh didn't know. Somebody is making some noise. I don't understand that. You can use pen and jot something down, please. And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed king did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat king. So Pharaoh awoke. Now, this second one, the lean ones, ate up this. We have seen this in the scriptures somewhere, where this happened. The little ones or the tiny ones or the ill-favored ones ate the fat-favored ones, the big ones. What is happening here? This man was looking at these animals, and all of a sudden, the ones that were no match to the big ones that would have swallowed them, turned to eat them up, eat the big ones up. The man must be amazed to what he was seeing. The man must be amazed. And he slept and dreamed the second time. So it wasn't the first time. So this is the first of his dream. So he's going to have another dream, second dream. And he slept and dreamed, and second time, and behold, 7 ears of corn came up upon one stalk, rank and good. So what did he see? He saw 7 ears. This is the second portion of the dream. Let's put it number 2 there. 7 ears of corn. He saw 7 ears of corn in one stalk, rank and good. So this one in one, stalk of the corn came 7 ears, and he said they are good. So let's see if there will be another one that may not be good. When I talk about good, you see bad there or evil. And behold, 17 ears of blasted with the east wind sprang up after them. So another type of corn, ostensibly should be 7 of them of corn again, and said they are what? What adjective was used there? Blasted. They are bad. They are ill-favored, like the cows there. So we have 2 settings here, 2 settings there, 2 settings of cow, 2 settings of corn. One set of the cow, was good. One set was ill or thin. Here, 2 sets of corn. One set good. The second set bad. Now let's see what this dreams is all about. Is going to deposit something in the life of Pharaoh or in the life of the people he ruled, the nation of Egypt. And in the 17 years devoured the 7 rank and full years, and Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. So the same thing repeated here. These 7 ill corns, bad ones, swallowed the good ones. Something is happening. And as it happened, Pharaoh awoke. Pharaoh came out from his sleep. And perhaps he couldn't sleep again. Because such dream, when you dream it, it looks real. And it will trouble your mind, it will trouble your soul until you get the interpretation. You will not rest. That is how Yahweh's vision or revelation appear in human being. When you get such revelation, you will know yourself. Your mind, your heart will be there. You can't do anything until you get to have understanding to what is going on. So he will seek understanding because he doesn't have a clue of what was going on. Verse 8. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled. So when you have such spirit, a dream, dreams from Yahweh fills the heart. Fills the heart. That is, troubles the soul of who had that dream. It keeps you thinking, and pondering over it. Yahweh won't let you rest until you get to hear what he's saying. And in many times, this will tell you that in so many times Yahweh is speaking to us, we don't hear. We don't know, whether by revelation or by vision or in a dream. Many times we don't hear. Many times we don't see. And when he is doing that, we are far away. At times we lost messages. We lost information. What will Yahweh do? Yahweh will try to communicate as much as he can to us. Now, if we do not understand, what would you think Yahweh will do? Unmute your mobile or Skype or whatever. Just unmute. Let's respond to this. If Yahweh, this is important. This man had a dream. We saw in the life of that is Daniel chapter 2. Nebuchadnezzar had a dream. Nebuchadnezzar never had rest until, in fact, he said if that dream was not interpreted, all of his servants will die. The magicians, the soothsayers, the fortune tellers, all those guys that surround him. If they can't tell the dream, all of them will be destroyed, will be killed. Until that got into the ears of Daniel. Like what we are seeing now, it will get into the ears of Joseph. So, Bible is trying to pass information to us here. Why do you think that, when Yahweh passes information like this, we must get to it? And if he passes information, whether in a dream or maybe physically, he'll be speaking to us and we wouldn't hear, what do you think will be the outcome? What do you think Yahweh will do? Are we there? I'm asking a query. Is it complex? If Yahweh speaks to us and we don't get it, what do you think Yahweh will do? Yahweh will leave us. We walk like a blind person, and if it's to suffer, we suffer it. Why? Why will Yahweh allow us to walk in that situation, then we plunge into problems. That is why he's calling us. A father, in fact, in a family, children must hear their father, father must hear their children. Yahweh wants our relationship to be that way. But at times we block him. And many times he speaks to us, we don't hear. What do? He withdraw. He keep quiet. He allows us to, because we have chosen our way. What is the way? The way of the world that blinds deafens the ears, blinds the eyes, and sears the heart. And when that happens, Yahweh steers clear, because it's our choice. In Psalm 111 verse 10, what did he say? Read it for us, somebody. Because we need, in fact, beginning from verse 9 to 10, read it, let us get the meaning of this, because it's important to what you are studying. Most times you sleep, you dream, you wake up, you don't know, you can't understand, and you can't ask. Because Pharaoh, he didn't know. This is a gentleman, but he sought the meaning. He looked for the meaning. He didn't fold his arms. Many of us, we dream and we just begin to do our everyday business. It doesn't matter, But Yahweh is talking to you. Go on, let's read it.
He sent redemption unto his people.
Redemption. Salvation.
He had commanded his covenant forever.
He commanded covenant.
Holy and reverend is his name.
He is reverend. Reverend is his name. Yahweh. That is that reverend.
Verse 10. The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom.
Fear of Yahweh.
And a good understanding have all they that do his commandment.
Understanding.
His praise endureth forever.
Fear of Yahweh is what?
Beginning of understanding.
Beginning of understanding.
Beginning of wisdom. And a good understanding have all them that do his commandments.
Now, Yahweh is wisdom. And to get that wisdom, you must know Yahweh. You must fear him. You see why Yahweh will speak to us. When he speaks to us, we don't catch it, he leaves us. Because we don't fear him. It begins from, he wants to redeem us. He wants us to be on his side. He is on the side of redemption. He's on the side of salvation. He's on the side of freedom. Freedom, redemption, freedom. Freedom. This is where he wants us to be. And where he wants us to be, he barricades it with his covenant. You must be a covenant person. Who did it? Reverend. That is his name, Yahweh. So he has uttered you into his covenant way. And how do you come into the covenant way? You must fear him. When you fear him, that begins to, hold as the beginning of what is called wisdom. You cannot have wisdom of Yahweh when you don't have understanding of his word, which talks about the covenant. What is in the covenant is the Torah. Keep the Torah, keep the commandments. So he calls us, we pretend we know. Or it doesn't matter. And when now he lays something, there is danger on the road, he show it to you in a dream, he show it to you by sign, he show it to you, even animal, birds can display it. You can't picture it, you can't catch it, you won't know it. Because you lack his, Psalmist is saying in Psalm 111, 9 to 10, you lack all this. So if you don't have all this profile, getting his wisdom and understanding, you forget it. But even then, when you lack wisdom and understanding, what do? You still go, you solicit for help. So who did Pharaoh go to? To wise. He looked for somebody who is wise. Who is wise among his servants? He couldn't get. But one of the servants says, I know somebody who is wise. I know somebody, and you cannot get wisdom of a person except and only from the household of Yahweh. The Gentiles don't have it. The hidden world don't have wisdom, people of wisdom. What they have is wisdom of the world. How to dribble, how to cheat, how to steal, how to lie, how to do all manner of things, trick you, paint you to... At times they paint you to look good, but you don't know they have slaughtered you. That is what they do. That is their own take. But the wisdom of Yahweh, which is inherent in the in freedom, in the kingdom as it were, which is where there is salvation, freedom, life, eternal life. We don't tend to hold to that because we lost him. We have left him. And we struggle with knowledge. If we leave Yahweh, we will struggle with knowledge. If we leave Yahweh, we will struggle with hearing him. But look at the Gentile man. This Gentile man, he didn't know Yahweh has spoken to him. He didn't know. He couldn't hear Yahweh. Many of us, our Father in heaven speak to us like this. We don't hear, we don't know. What is happening in our world today? How many of us understand? How many of us know? They are all there in the Bible. They are all there in the Bible. All this killing, bloodletting, famine, earthquake, and all that. Do we know? He has spoken them. They are all there. They say in a time and in the season and in age like we have it today, all these things will be happening. We see them and we say, it's the natural thing. It's the natural phenomenon. Oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, it's has been happening like that. Oh. We'll be making ho until water will cover everywhere. It is terrible. It is bad. As bad as that. Yahweh in heaven is weeping for us. Because he can't come down to our own state of mind. No. He's drawn us to his state of mind. He's drawn us to his level. Though we can't get to his standard. But at least for us to hear him speak to us as a father. But then, the more he calls us, the more we run away. So how else will he speak to us? You keep quiet. And that's why many will perish in these latter days. And many have started perishing. Verse 8. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream, and there was none that could interpret them unto Pharaoh. Then spoke the chief butler, the guy that was released from the prison, the same prison that Joseph was. Now let's see what the guy is going to do. He's going to remember his friend Joseph told him, don't forget me when you get to Pharaoh's business. Tell Pharaoh about me. But he forgot. And he will wake up. Here he will wake up. Because this is time, Yahweh's time. Yahweh was also working out things for this young man, for Joseph. Then spoke the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my fault this day. I remember my fault. What was the fault he remembered here? He was, when I say he made a covenant with Joseph, I will not forget. Don't worry. He agreed with Joseph. He will not forget. So that was his fault. He forgot. And as he awoke, he said, Pharaoh, your dream can be simply interpreted. I don't know it, but there is a guy that is a master. He has PhD in interpretation of dream. He did the same thing for I and the baker. So he can do the same for you. Verse 10. Pharaoh was wroth with his servants. So as Pharaoh called all of them, they said they could not interpret the dream. So Pharaoh was angry with them. he was fierce, like Nebuchadnezzar was angry with all his servants and wanted to eliminate them. Then Daniel came handy to save them. And they put me in ward in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief baker. So at that time, this butler was, provoked Pharaoh. And then he went into prison. There he met Joseph. And he narrated his experience and how Joseph interpreted his dream and the dream of the baker. And perhaps that calmed Pharaoh, because Pharaoh would have done what Nebuchadnezzar even wanted to do as well. So I said, okay, it's time for you to go and bring the guy for me. I know Pharaoh would have asked him, but why all this time? The guy who interpreted your dream, you left him there. You didn't tell me about him. Okay, I'm stuck now. Okay, he must have, told Pharaoh, don't worry. When this guy finishes interpreting, you will see whom he is and all that. He played with Pharaoh, and Pharaoh said, okay, don't worry, go and bring him out. And we dreamed a dream in one night. He started to explain to Pharaoh what happened. And I and he, that is the baker, we dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was there with us a young man, an Hebrew. He identified who the young man was. The young man was an Israeli, a Hebrew, servant of the captain of the guard. And we told him, and he interpreted to us our dreams. And each man, according to his dream, he did interpret. And it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so it was. Me he restored unto my office, and him he hanged. So who was hanged? The baker. Joseph interpreted butler's dream that in 3 days' time, Pharaoh will call you back, and you begin to hand the cup of his vine to him, while Baker, who was serving him his food, will be hanged. Verse 14. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily. Why? Hastily. As this guy was telling Pharaoh how his dream was interpreted, what was in the heart and the mind of Pharaoh was to let out this information. What is this dream I had? Nobody is helping me and all that. Whoever the person is, go and bring him. You have wasted my time. This guy would have done something before now. I go on scouting who will do this. Who knows how many days it took them before he remembered. And he said, oh, Joseph is there. Go and bring him. And they brought him hastily out of the dungeon, and he shaved himself. So Joseph shaved himself and changed his raiment and came in unto Pharaoh. So he is with the king of Israel. Joseph is out, and he's out forever. He will never see prison yard again. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream. Pharaoh is now narrating, his ordeal to Joseph, the dream he had. And there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of thee that thou can understand a dream to interpret it. How will you be advertised? Now, in the service of Yahweh, we don't go on advertising ourselves. We don't identify ourselves as one that have arrived, as we see in the pastors, prophets, evangelists doing today. But Yahweh is the one advertising his people through his work, the work of Yahweh we are doing. If you're able to pass Yahweh's information or do healing and all that, Yahweh will showcase you. You are not taking his glory, mind you, and that is what he's worried about. If you look at Isaiah chapter 42, verses 1, 2, 3, he said when Yeshua comes, he's not going to make himself known in terms of advertising himself, in terms of doing all those things that will showcase himself, taking glory that belongs to him. No. He is going to present his message to the people. Those that will be healed, he will do that. But at the end of the day, what will bring out Yeshua is even the work of the Father he was doing will also catapult him. But he doesn't go out taking Yahweh's glory. That is what is happening in Christendom today. in Christendom, they will say, I have a testimony, I have testimony. Pastor did this, pastor did that. If pastor didn't pray, if pastor didn't lay hands, pastor anointed me, pastor did this, pastor did that. I was here, I was doing that. Every glory will go to pastor. Praise who? At the end of the day, when they shout their Lord and their God, it is still the same pastor, because pastor is whom they know. Pastor has showcased himself to them. So here we must understand that Joseph hid himself, and Joseph will here tell Pharaoh, though they tell you I did this, I interpret it, it's not me, it's Yahweh. Now you see how he will do it, what he's going to say. Verse what are we? Verse 5. Verse 16, sorry.
16.
And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, it is not in me, Yahweh shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. He knew Pharaoh was troubled. He knew Pharaoh's heart was failing him. He had scouted, nobody can interpret the dream. And now Pharaoh now looked at him as the Messiah that has come to open up the dream, to show him what the dream was. And you see, why we say here that Joseph has the character of Yeshua, is a type of Yeshua, typology, type of Yeshua. He never stick his neck, say it's me. No. He will always say it's Yeshua. It's Yahweh. It's not me. I'm only a vessel to him. Children of Yahweh are not presenting themselves as have arrived, or the go-getter, or the Messiah. No. Anybody that does that is in trouble already. Anybody that preaches and showcases himself that way is in trouble before Yahweh, because the person is taking honor, glory that is meant for Yahweh. So here, Joseph presented the matter to Pharaoh that it's not me, it is Yahweh. Interpretation of dream is Yahweh's business. And at the end of the day, he will give you peace. Don't worry, whatever your dream is, I've not had it, but you will get peace, because you have met the Prince of Peace. The peace himself. Yahweh is the peace himself. Verse 17. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, in my dream, behold, I stood upon the bank of the river, and behold, there came up out of the river 7 kings, 5-fleshed and well-favored, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other king came up after them, poor and very ill-favored, and lean-fleshed, such as I never saw in the land of Egypt for badness. What we saw there, tried to describe it to him. And the lean and the ill-favored king did eat up the first 7 fat king, and when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them, but they were still ill, favored as at the beginning. So I awoke. You see, this lean, thin, small-looking, haggard cows, after eating the big ones, the 7 other ones, they still look very thin and lean, and as if they have not eaten, and as if they were looking for more and more. And as this thing was going on, he saw it to the last, he woke up. And when they had eaten them up, it could not be known. Verse 22. And I saw in my dream, so he's narrating the second side of the dream, the corn. And behold, 7 ears came up in one stalk, full and good. And behold, 7 ears withered, thin, and blasted with the east wind, sprang up after them. And the 10 ears devoured the 7 good ears. And I told this unto the magicians, but there was none that could declare it to me. So he explained the 2 dreams. Now, why 2 dreams? Why 2 dreams? We are going back to where we started. The cows and the corn, 2 dreams. Now, we are going to see in the explanation of what it is all about, where Joseph will point out that when you have 2 dreams given to you in the same night of, revelation or vision, when it happens like that, let your head take it that Yahweh said it is what is decreed, what has been decreed in heaven, it will surely come to play out. It will come to pass. So you have 2 dreams, 3 dreams, it is automatic. Prayer will not change it. Fasting will not change it. It will come as it is declared. That is why we must struggle to have understanding of what is said. So if it is something that is bad, you begin to ask Yahweh, how do I get out of it? If it's something that is good, you begin to ask Yahweh, how do I appropriate it? That is why you must seek the meaning of your dream, of revelation, of vision, or whatever knowledge Yahweh is giving to you. Very, very important. Now, the 7 years of corn and 7 cows will also have its own meaning or interpretation. Verse 20, what are we? 26. The 7 good kings are 7 years, and the 7 good years are 7 years. The dream is 1. So we see 2 dreams in one, 2 dreams in one vision or revelation. We see 7 phenomenon. What is phenomenon or phenomena? Natural occurrence, something that happens often. 7 phenomena here of cows and what? Corns. Playing out for a duration of how many? 7 years is the interpretation. Each of those 7, all of them amount to 7 years. 7 years of good and 7 years of bad. Remember, the cows, we have 7 cows, fat, and 7 corns, good, representing 7 of one good straight jacket way. Now we have 7 lean animals, cows, and 7 corns, very thin and little and dying. 7, one straight jacket, 7 again. So 7 years of good things to happen, 7 years of bad things to happen. And the Bible said we have 7 years of plenty, boom, economic boom, and 7 years of famine, doom, economic doom. So that was what Joseph saw, and he summarized it that way for him. Now he's going to give him even picture of what is going to happen, how he is going to, technically work out what he saw within 7 years, what will be happening, and what will be happening in the period of doom, of famine. So how will that be sorted out? Yahweh is going to give him what? Wisdom. Psalm 111 verse 9 and 10 will play out in the head of Joseph. That wasn't part of the dream. This was part of what Yahweh delivered to him to do what? To set Joseph free. Because if Joseph had stopped at 2 years, 2 cows, 2 corn, and 7 years good of cow and good of 7 years bad of corn, at the end of the day, Joseph would have gone back to the prison. But that was not to be. When Yahweh wanted to bail you out, he put his word in your mouth. And whatever comes out is law, decree. And what at the end of the day Pharaoh heard was never to be disputed. We are going to see it in this Bible. Verse 28. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What Yahweh is about to do, he showed unto Pharaoh. So this is what Yahweh wants to do. In the next 7 years, there will be surplus of food. In the land of Egypt. After the 7 years, there will be scarcity of food in the land of Egypt. All of them are within Egypt. Egypt. All of them are happening in Egypt. So something is about to happen. Pharaoh, this is what Yahweh has shown to you. And that is the interpretation. Behold, verse 29, behold, there came 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt, and there shall arise after them 7 years of famine and of plenty, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. So if within the 7 years that will come up, if nothing is done to produce food in quantity and in surplus, then the land will be wasted away. But if that 7 years is applied, then there will be surplus. Then come in another 7 years, the land of Egypt will be hit hard, will be terrified with famine. Then wisdom has to come. Wisdom. We see how wisdom will play out. What the mathematics here has to be worked out, because Pharaoh can just say, okay, within 7 years there will be plenty. He will go and sleep again. Or my people farm. Something miracle will happen. Miracle will not happen that way. Miracle will not happen. Here, Yahweh just laid a foundation of what is going to happen, but wisdom will interpret these 7 years of this and 7 years of that. Without that, nothing will happen. It's like somebody who was told, oh, let us say some of us that are from Africa or third world, you are told, you sleep, you've been toiling and working and, economic hardship, you finish school 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, no job. You've been looking, when you hear about people who are in America, in Britain, in Europe, we say, how can I get there? Oh, how can I get there? If they ask me to sell myself, I will sell myself. If they ask me to sell land, I will sell everything. I will get there. Oh, how can I get there? And you just close your eyes, you dream. You saw yourself in Britain. And they are told within 3 years, you'll be in Britain. You wake up, say, Mama, I dreamt within 3 years that I'm going to go to America. Oh, let me, persevere. I'm going to go every day, persevere, every day, persevere. But you didn't do the needful. There are things that you need to do. That is where wisdom comes in order for you to attain that something that you saw. For you to claim it, you need to do something. You need to walk yourself into the covenant commandments of Yahweh. You need to recognize Yahweh, follow his Torah way. You begin to interact with him, begin to worship him, you begin to reverence him by his Yahweh name. That way, you will be called into fulfilling that which he has showed to you. Because he said, my son, come, then I will take you to the path which you are going to go from now. And he said, I have received it. I'm going to be great. You go and sleep. You start dancing up and down. Before you know it, nothing will happen. Because you didn't take time to go to he that owns that beautiful blessings. That is how we are. That is what we are. That is what we do. We miss our fortunes. We miss our blessings. We miss our way. And our time, we bury it. Simple because we do not listen to him and we do not do what he wants us to do in order to profit our lives. Very, very unfortunate. Many of us have killed our future, our time, because we want to walk our time, our life, with all our little knowledge, little brain. Nothing is there. At the end of the day, it tells us nothing. And we continue to chase shadows. May that not be our portion any longer in Yeshua's name. Amen. That I'm talking to our people here. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of that famine following, for it shall be very grievous. Now, within the 7 years, it's going to be terrible. If nothing is done, something is going to go wrong everywhere in the land of Egypt, and extensively by the whole world, because this famine is going to reach every world. The land of Canaan is going to be cut off. And it was this reason that Joseph was brought out from his family. His brothers sold him. They would have killed him. He would have just gone long time. But Yahweh spared him for him to go and prepare this situation. Make this terrible situation excellent time, a moment that Israel will be delivered. Verse 32. And for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by Yahweh, and Yahweh will shortly bring it to pass. Can you see? Joseph is confirming that the reason that dream was doubled, the cow and the corns, and all of them were speaking the same thing. The lean ones swallowed the big ones or the fat ones. Why it happened twice is that it must come to pass. It has been established. It will not fail. The famine that is coming upon the world is going to hit hard. There's no two ways about it. It's just like Yahweh telling us in Jeremiah chapter 14, Jeremiah chapter 15, that in these latter days, the world will face sword, famine, war is sword there, yeah. Famine, diseases, including coronavirus that is going on, and more, because there are more viruses out there that is yet to come. That is not even in the Bible. The Bible said there are so many diseases that are going to come that are not. During the time of great tribulation and the wrath of Yahweh, they will escalate. There will be so much. And that's what's going to kill human beings like no man business. It's going to deal with human beings. Why? Because human beings have left his way. Human beings forgot the one that created them, forgot the way of life, of salvation, of redemption, forgot the covenant. So he's going to tear them, he's going to destroy them with all those things he mentioned, sword or war or famine or diseases and so on. Earthquake, there are so many. But in Jeremiah chapter 15, he was clear. In these latter days, it will happen. And the signs are beginning to erupt. In Matthew 24, we're beginning to see the signs. So once Yahweh has said something and he doubles it or triples it, be sure that it's going to happen. Verse 33. Now therefore, let Pharaoh look out a man. This is where the wisdom of Yahweh is. And here, Yahweh is now trying to, quicken the mind of Pharaoh. This is where Yahweh is now wakening up Pharaoh. Pharaoh is going to be woken up here. Pharaoh. The wisdom or counsel of Yahweh suggests a wise man must be found. Okay, tell me, in the land, just to interpret the dream, the first 7 years, first 2 years, that was the stake. Just to find somebody to decode that and to tell Pharaoh whether it is the years of surplus and the years of or even whether they will all die. Pharaoh could not find that even in himself or amongst his servants. Now tell me, is it decoding Yahweh's wisdom? Would Pharaoh now begin to look inwards in his household to say, oh, somebody amongst you will do it. Let me elect. Now, as this information comes in, this information concerning releasing or getting a wise man, Pharaoh now wake up. Pharaoh now wake up. Yahweh facilitated his mind, his head. When you will see how what Pharaoh will say, you will see. Yahweh knows how to. If you are a servant of Yahweh, all you need to do is to play, walk with Yahweh, continue to follow him in spirit and in truth. You will see how Yahweh will lift you up. And when he will do that, you are not going to pray for it, you are not going to ask for it. Even if you are praying and asking for it, at his own time it will happen. Because everything works out at his own time. He knows why he's timing. Look at when Joseph has to come out from the prison. He would have come out 2 years earlier, but he didn't. If he was praying, he would have prayed for 2 years. He would have fasted for 2 years. But it's good for us to pray. It's good for us to fast so that we are on track. So that we don't slip away within the program that Yahweh has for us. That's why we continue to remain in praying and fasting. Fasting and praying is not something you rule out. It's something that keep you going, keep you on the track. Now let's see how Yahweh will facilitate this into the head of Pharaoh. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land to take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years. So Pharaoh has to do this, appoint how many men? How many men?
Officers.
Appoint officers. Okay, no number. Officers. Officers must be wise men who will oversee the good harvest. Good harvest for 7 years. They have to work out how the harvest is going to be, harnessed in Egypt for 7 years. And they must be wise men. They have to work out the mathematics. And Pharaoh has to get what? The 5th part of Egypt. The Pharaoh has to get 5th part of Egypt lands for this, for famine. Sorry, famine. F-A-R-M. For famine. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years. So this has to do with 7 plenteous years. 7 plenteous years. Now this is the wisdom that is playing out within these 7 years. And let them gather all the food of the good years that come and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. It's not finished. And that food shall be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine. Now there should be stores in each city. Each city shall have store. Stores, cities must possess, store or stores where they will pile up or load all the grains that is going to be harvested within 7 years period. So silos has to be built across Egypt, and they will be within the cities, so that they will, hold all the stock. All the grain that will last for 7 years. That is not a mean task. That is a massive. This is not something that they will build in a year or 2 years or 7 years. And miracle will work as all this is going on, because keep a grain for 1 year, it will just go bad. It will just germinate. It will just be destroyed. But this grain, for 7 years, they will be there until the famine begins. And it will last for another 7 years. That means from the beginning of planting and harvesting to the 7th year of good harvest, to another 7 years, this crop of seeds will last for almost 14 years. Don't you see miracle there? Don't you see wonders there? Don't you see the hand of Yahweh there? Something was about to happen in the land of Egypt. Miracle was about to happen in the land of Egypt. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, Can we find such a one as this, a man in whom the Spirit of Yahweh is? Now, Pharaoh himself declares that we will now look for a wise man that has the Spirit of Yahweh. Pharaoh says, we need wise man that possess what? Spirit of Yahweh. The wise man must possess the Spirit of Yahweh. Then, in Egypt, from Pharaoh to his lowest servants, do Pharaoh even know Yahweh, let alone possessing an individual that has Yahweh's Spirit? Pharaoh knew that it's in Hebrew you get such a person. And there is no other Hebrew person that was around them other than who? Other than Joseph. So here you see Joseph coming into limelight in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of the Egyptians. And Yahweh has to inquire from his servants, all those magicians, all those butler, the soothsayer and all that he had. And he asked them, in the land which we live, do we have any person that possesses Yahweh's Spirit? And all of them will concur, no, we don't. So who possesses it other than the one that is speaking? Joseph. So Yahweh has worked out some wonders, some miracles. And it's not only in the land of Egypt, but in the land of this young man who has suffered tremendously in the hands of Satan and a human being, the wife of Pharaoh, that was used to put this young man into dungeon for so many years. Verse 38. No, verse 37. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, Can we find such as one like this, a man in whom the Spirit of Yahweh is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, For as much as Yahweh has showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. You are the one. You are the one. You don't have to look for the person. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto the word shall all my people be ruled. According unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. So Pharaoh is giving a decree here. Pharaoh is giving a decree here. Joseph, you shall rule over Israel, over Egypt. You shall rule over Egypt. No other person is qualified. You and you alone has met the credential, the criteria. I mean, all the qualifications that are required. You and you alone is found meeting them. You shall be over my house, and according unto thy word shall my people be ruled. Not only will Pharaoh rule Egypt, Pharaoh will rule house of Pharaoh and all Egyptians. Joseph shall rule the house of Pharaoh, all Egyptians. This is decree now. This is what is called decree. Law. Decree is law that is passed by one individual or group of individuals that are given to rule. And what they say is final. It's not a democratic kind of, making a law. This is a law that is made by fiat, by decree, by one man who is the king. So nobody can change it. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto the word, thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. So you are going to be over everything, including my household, but only the throne of Pharaoh. So Pharaoh is exempted in this particular power. Pharaoh is exempted. That is his throne. He will rule all. Joseph rules Egypt, but Pharaoh's throne. Pharaoh's throne. Very, very important. From nobody to somebody, to slave, from slavery to the dungeon, imprisonment, from imprisonment into throne. Joseph goes into throne of Egypt. Who does it? There is only one power. There's only one hand that brings out a beggar, that brings out a lame man, a blind man, a sick man, a weakling, and make him commander-in-chief of the whole world. Do you know that mankind in this world, the riches and the wealthy that do not know him today, will be ruled by those who do not smell 2 square meals a day, let alone 3 square meals. They be ruled by fishers of men. They be ruled by farmers. They will be ruled by lepers. They be ruled by those who were blind, who were not seeing what they were doing, but they were cheated. They were led by the side of the road. They were giving money as beggars are giving money. the beggars will rule the wise of this world. They think they are wise, but the wise ones are coming. Yeshua has made them wise because they put their heart in the covenant commandments of Yahweh. They put their hope in the Reverend Yahweh. They imbibed the word of Yahweh into their lives. And that was the key. That was the key. Now, let's go on. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand, and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck, and he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had. And they cried before him, bow the knee, and he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. Pharaoh took his ring, put it in his hand, the ring of Pharaoh. What does it signify? The ring of Pharaoh shows authority, command, and that goes with staff of Pharaoh's office. The horse of Pharaoh. All that was to do what? To promote him. Promotion of Joseph. To exalted office. Yahweh exalts the lowly. Exalted office of Egypt. And he made the people to bow. Did you hear that? Bow to who? Ostensibly to Joseph. But do we take bow? I wonder what Joseph was doing at that time. But at the end of the day, the reverend or the whatever it is was going to Yahweh. So they submit. This is just submission. Bound is submit. Every Pharaoh, every people of Egypt must submit to who? To Joseph. And this is what is happening. Every knee. Joseph is a type of Yeshua. Every knee must bow to who? To Yeshua. As he returns to rule the earth. By the time he is coming back, the ring of the Father, the staff office of the Father, and the horse through which he's going to come back will be given to him. And the Yeshua, we are talking about Yeshua now. Yeshua, when we talk about Joseph, we look at what has happened to Yeshua himself. And it's the same thing that also is going to happen. But in a greater, because Yeshua is, is the savior to Joseph. Joseph is a human being, is a flesh like us. But what we are looking at is how somebody who has kept the covenant commandment way of Yahweh will, be a type of Yeshua. Every human being, every believer, we are programmed to be a type of Yeshua, as Joseph was here. So as Yeshua is going to return, everybody must submit. Everybody, including those who nailed him to the tree, must submit to him. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. Why did he say, I am Pharaoh? He is saying that he is the commander-in-chief of Egypt. And he has opened his mouth and he has put up a decree that by Joseph Egypt shall be ruled. Egypt shall be governed. So Joseph has become the eyes of Pharaoh. Joseph has become the power of Pharaoh. Because here Joseph has tapped an individual who will be getting information from heaven, from Yahweh, to rule the land of Egypt. And ostensibly by that time, Egypt was the world power. So Joseph was ruling the world at that time. So all he needed here is the wisdom of Joseph, that comes from Yahweh, for him to govern his people and to govern the world. Because at the end of the day, the whole world will come to Egypt and bow to Egypt. We need food. And whatever Joseph tells them to do, they will do. I'm going to read it here. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zaphanat-Paneah, which means the man to whom secrets are revealed. The word love a righteous prophet that speaks from the mouth of Yahweh, that speaks the truth. But they are very rare. They are very, very rare. And when you get one, you don't want to let go. Pharaoh saw one, a Hebrew man, and he didn't want to let go. Said, even if you have a land, you won't go back to you are from prison. Forget that prison. That prison may be even closed. For you to go back to that prison, we'll lock it completely. Can't go there. You are not a servant. You are not a subject. You are a ruler. Except me and my throne, except Pharaoh himself, you are in command. Even the wife, everybody, you are in command. That is, he is, whatever he decrees, whatever he says, people must do. That is what Pharaoh has handed to. Unlike when he was in the house of Potiphar. Pharaoh says, you are different. I've never seen one like you. And he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On. And Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt. So Joseph married Egyptian eventually. And all souls are Yahweh's. All souls. And Yahweh had ordained that woman for Joseph to marry, so that he will achieve his purpose. And Joseph was 30 years. Can you see? At this time, Joseph was 30 years. So he is qualified. Joseph was 30 years when he became Joseph, 30 years. He became a ruler. Deputy Pharaoh. Became deputy Pharaoh at this particular time. 30 years. Very, very important. At the age of 30, Joseph became king in Israel. Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout all the land of Egypt. And in the 7 plenteous years, the earth brought forth by handfuls. Wonderful. 7 plenteous years. What Joseph pronounced began to manifest. The plan went as it was ordained by Yahweh in his mind, in his head. Everything was carried out. Silos were built in each city throughout Egypt. The grain came in quantums. The corns multiplied. All manner of grains filled the land. And all those grains were blessed products from heaven. And he gathered up all the food of the 7 years, and we are in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities, and the food of the field, which was round about every city, led he up in the same. In the same. 49. And Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea. Can you hear that? Corn was gathered like it was like sand. That means everywhere was corn. All the land of Egypt, the roadside, the corner, the farmland, everywhere was, even those that they planted and those that they did not plant. Blessings, it was scattered like, how did they come? Blessings of these products everywhere was found in the land of Egypt. It was very much until he left numbering, for it was without number. And unto Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of famine came. Before the 7 years, come and pass. 7 years of plenty. No, 7 years of famine. Before the 7 years of famine came. That means the first 7 years of had come and ruled. And before it entered the famine time, Joseph had 2 children, which Asenath, the daughter of Potipherah, priest of On, bare unto him. And these 2 children were very, very important. We are going to look at these two children born to Joseph. They now, even today, in the land of Egypt, they are prominent, they are powerful, they are strong. In fact, one of them, Ephraim, later became the name of Israel. Another name of Israel today is from one of these children, the last born, Ephraim. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for Elohim, Yahweh, said, he has made me forget all my toil. So Manasseh was one that made Joseph forget all his toil. All my sweat is gone. All my labor is gone. That's what it means. And all my father's house, that is all his toil, all his father's house, the toil that he encountered, all of them are gone. 52. And in the name of the second son, he called Ephraim, for Yahweh has caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. So Ephraim means fruitfulness. Fruitfulness. All his affliction he forgot. In the land of his affliction, where was he afflicted? All the Gentile world are afflicting Israel today. This is second Egypt. Israelites are in second Egypt. The Gentile world, the hidden world, is like the world of Egypt when Joseph was in Egypt, or when the whole of Israel were in Egypt. So in the same way, we are in the world of the Gentile. Now, look at yourself. You think that, oh, I'm in the world of Gentile, things are very tight, things are very horrible, things are very... Bible said, in fact, that was the reason that Joseph named his first son Manasseh. Affliction. Affliction from where? Gentile world. Is Egypt the Gentile world? And you are comparing yourself and saying, oh, my suffering is too much. My look at Joseph, look at what behoved him, look at what he went through. And how did he move to the rank above all Egyptians, above all that were in the land of Egypt except Pharaoh? How did he do that? He submitted to Yahweh, period. So we can do the same thing in the land of Gentile. We can do the same thing in the land of hidden that we are today. We can find ourselves submitting ourselves to Yahshua, who now takes us to the highest height. That is exactly what he's saying. Psalm 111, 9 and 10 we read, that was exactly what Joseph partook. He partook in the covenant way. And it worked for him. So while in this Gentile world today, in affliction environment, in persecution environment, in troubled environment, an environment that your right is denied. You don't have right. You are cheated every day. You are humiliated every day. You are insulted every day. You are confounded every day. And it's like there's no way out. But the only way out is the one that we call upon, we pray to. Then will he bring us out? He will. He says he will. Provided you follow him, follow his instructions, follow Yeshua. He will. And finally, he will bring us into redemption. Because that is what he's working out for us in the land of captivity. Verse 53. And the 7 years of plenteousness that was in the land of Egypt were ended. So after the end of the 7 years of plenty, famine began. And the 7 years of that is famine, began to come according as Joseph has said. And that was in all lands. The famine was in all lands. But in all the land of Egypt, there was bread. All the lands, that is the whole world, partook famine. But in the land of Egypt, there was an exception. Why? Because a wise man with knowledge of Yahweh's word planted that in the head of Pharaoh, and it was, carried out. All the instructions were carried out. At the end, there was the blessings flowing everywhere. There was plenty in the land. So the whole land of the world, we are going to Egypt to do what? To find food. I mean, if somebody hasn't been attacked by hunger, attacked by lack, the person wouldn't know what you are talking about. Verse 55. And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. So, beginning from Pharaoh, beginning from nook and corners of Egypt, they don't have anything to eat. So everybody has to go to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh will direct them to Joseph. And other people from other lands, the same thing was happening. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, go unto Joseph, what he said to you, do. What he says to you, do. And the famine was over all the face of the earth. Have you seen it? Over all the face of the earth. This was one famine that hit the whole heaven, the whole earth. And in these latter days, Bible predicts that the same thing will happen. Matthew chapter 24, Yeshua predicted the same thing. It will happen again. It will happen again. Is human being preparing for that? Famine will happen again. And the famine was over all the face of the earth, and Joseph opened all the storehouses. So all those cities, the storehouses in all those, the asylums everywhere were now opened. And he has designated officers to take charge of each asylum in each city, or asylums that were in the cities, to take charge, and has told them how they are going to be selling all those products to the people who were coming in. And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians, and the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. So by day, by week, by month, by year, famine was increasing. It was increasing. It was increasing until the 7 years was complete. 7 years of famine. I think the world hasn't had this experience before, except what was encountered in Egypt. I don't think the world has. People talk about depression, the Great Depression of those days. People talk about, if it has happened, I don't think it's across the world as it affects Egypt. For a duration of 7 years, famine may have happened across the world quite all right. Nations may have experienced it in one way or the other. but not to last for 7 years. And it's going to happen again, because the Bible is clear. The beast is going to rule for 7 years. Beginning from the time of the beast rule, the farmer will start. But the beast will be cushioning, the stuff of the farmer with all his bounties. People will so believe in him that they will worship him. So the farmer will begin, but it will get worse by 3.5 years. Then towards the end of it is going to be catastrophe. People will be eating their children's flesh, as Bible decreed. So it's going to happen again. And it's going to be so serious that people will eat. We are not told that people were eating human flesh at that time. But in these latter days, people are going to eat the flesh of their children. People are going to eat the flesh of their neighbor. People are going to eat human beings. Human beings will soon become nothing. People will just be killed. Just like you kill a bird, it will just be like that. There'll be no value. So that is what is coming. If you know, and you've been told, this is what is facing you, what is facing the world, what do? Behave. Do what Joseph did. Joseph sorted himself out in Yeshua, and he followed the covenant way. Period. That's the only way of covering. That's the only way of redemption. Because Yahweh said, he is the Redeemer of Israel. Yahweh did what he did in Egypt in order to protect what happened to Egypt here. The 7 years of plenty and the 7 years of famine was to protect Israel, who we are. You see, everything is always pursuing Israel. Don't think that the blessing that entered Egypt was for Egypt. Quite all right, it happened in the house of Egypt. Egypt is going to benefit, but the more beneficiary of it is Israel. The 70 children of Israel, that is Jacob, will soon go to Egypt to live there, to enjoy, to eat this food. And they are not going to go there to beg. They are not going to go there to buy, because the whole thing was in the hands of Joseph. So Yahweh will put them in a particular place. We are going to look at it by the time we move from this Genesis now into Exodus. You see that they enter into Goshen, the land of Goshen. Yahweh has kept that place for them. And within the 7 years, everything, Joseph will just be moving, call the officers, move food to my people, move food to my people, move food to my people. The 7 years will finish. Then the economy will stabilize again. It was because of Israel. I'm telling you, what is happening today? In the days of chastisement is Israel. In the days of boom is Israel. The earth is owned by Yahweh. He controls it. He rules it. And Israel is the one that is the custodian of the earth, of the world. And he is asking them, behave. If you behave, then the world will benefit. If you misbehave, the world will be affected, and you yourself will be punished deeply, because you are called to put sanity in the world. So that is Israel for our take. 56. And the famine was over all the face of the earth, and Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians, and the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. And all countries came into Egypt to Joseph for to buy corn, because that the famine was so sore in all lands, all nations, all countries of the world. We are going to see how in 42, 43, 45, going forward, how how Jacob, the children of Jacob, Israel, are beginning to feel the heat of this famine. And this famine will make them go to Egypt. There they will discover what they had done to their brothers. There they will weep. There they will discover that being stupid, being brotherless, being selfish, being evil is evil. Now they will discover what brotherhood is. But Joseph will tell them, It's the workings of Yahweh. That at the end of the day, Yahweh uses it to, use him to prepare the way. As Yeshua is, called in to deliver Israel. Joseph here was called to be the deliverer of Israel, the one that brings the good tidings, the one that brings, food on their table, salvation as it were. Otherwise, they would have died in Egypt, in the land of Canaan. They would have died there, and they would have been forgotten. Nobody would have known about Israel today. But Yahweh goes ahead of his people many, many years, work out something and keep it and allow it to flow. So if you are in Yahweh's covenant way, as we are told, Yeshua is that covenant way. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. That's what Yeshua told us in John chapter 14, verse 6. That is where that statement comes from, the covenant way. So Yeshua is the one that maintained that covenant from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, down to himself. And that's why the Jewish people killed him, because they were not in that covenant way. And that's why even Christianity, they walked away from it and they preach nonsense, they teach nonsense, they do magic, they do all manner of things in order to establish themselves as if they are people of Yahweh. No, they are not. They don't know him. Yahweh don't know them. If you want to know about this truth, look at Isaiah chapter 45. He said, I raised Cyrus. Cyrus was a Gentile man. When Israel was I think the tribe of Judah were in Babylon. And it came to pass, Yahweh had worked it out, that after 70 years, they will come out of that, but they will not come out because they will be tied by the forces and powers that are in Babylon. So in advance, he raised a hidden man from around that environment, though from Persia, to do what? To deliver Judah, Israel that was in Babylon. What did Yahweh say? Yahweh said, I have raised you, Cyrus, a Gentile man, a hidden man. I knew you, and I called you, and I honored, I anointed you. He anointed him to be what? To deliver his people. The purpose of calling this Gentile man and anointing him was to do what? To deliver, to bring Israel out from captivity. So, in today's world, and in what we are seeing today happening, the Cyrus that we are talking about today, we say this person could be Donald Trump. Donald Trump pray to God, pray to Lord, pray to Jesus, but he doesn't pray to Yahweh. And this is the reason Yahweh said that he doesn't know him. Because if he is the one that, if he calls Yahweh, Yahweh will say, you're my son. You know me. Because he doesn't call him. Yahweh said that this man doesn't know him. He is calling another. That will tell you who Christians call today. I mean, that is one glaring example, one glaring, way for you to know whether the path you choose or you are walking or he that called you is the right way, truth, and life. Let's read Isaiah 45. Thus says Yahweh to his anointed. He chose this hidden man, Cyrus, and he said, he is anointed one of his. He has anointed him. Yahweh said to him, anointed to Cyrus, whose right hand I have holden, to subdue nations before him, and I will loose the loins of kings to open before him the two-leaved gates, and the gates shall not be shut. Yahweh is saying, powerhouse that is called Israel, he is going to rest this power or arm this power on Cyrus, and Cyrus is going to break asunder the two-leaf gates, and he will let Israel go. Judah will be gone. I will go before thee and make the crooked places straight, because it's not going to be easy. As today we see Donald Trump struggling. If Yahweh would not raise his hand, it's not going to be easy for him. But Yahweh says, I'm going to make the crooked places straight. I will break in pieces the gates of brass and cut in sunder the bars of iron. I will give thee the treasures of darkness and hidden treasures, hidden riches of secret places, that thou mayest know that I, Yahweh, which called thee by thy name, I am Yahweh of Israel. Now this is the catch, because everything will be happening for Israel. For Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel my elect, I have even called thee by thy name. I have summoned thee, though thou hast not known me. Because of Israel, because of the people of Jacob, that Yahweh called Cyrus. Who is Cyrus? A Gentile man. He doesn't know Yahweh. So it is because of his people. And that is why what we are saying today, that somebody like Donald Trump, who put his feet doing what, this is called typology, what that fellow did in the time of old. As we said, Joseph also walked almost in the shoes of Yeshua, a type of Yeshua. The same thing is happening or playing out. We saw that in Melchizedek and Yeshua himself. Melchizedek became a type of, it's the other way around. Yeshua became a type of Melchizedek. And we saw that in Elijah and John the Baptist. When they asked Yeshua that Elijah will come, they said, Elijah, when will he come? Yeshua told them, Elijah had already come and he's going. And they didn't recognize him. And he pointed to them, John. John was Elijah. They thought, oh, when he come, he wear garment, clothes, coat of skin of animal and all that, and go into the wilderness eating a grasshopper and honey and milk and so on. No, there will be some variation somehow. To not be typically alike. But the person, what is there is some character of that person and what Yahweh put into the hands of that person to do. It will resemble the previous person. So we look at what is happening today, the setting today, as what has happened in Isaiah 45, and we say, let's pray for Donald Trump. Because of all the world leaders and all the leaders of America, only him had come to say, Israel, your capital is not Tel Aviv, your capital is Jerusalem. And Jerusalem is the center of the world in the scriptures. Even when Yeshua comes, that is where he's going to, put his throne. That is where his throne is. Only Donald Trump has chosen that part, and even when Arab world were crying, he never listened and he decreed it. And that is how, in fact, they made the only noise 1 week or 2 weeks. That was the end. Today, that is the capital city of Israel. Only him is fighting tooth and nail. In fact, he had to move the embassy of America from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem to showcase that he is out to do what he is sent to do. Only him is stopping the sacrifice, children sacrifice, baby sacrifice, which is killing of babies, destroying fetus of babies from the womb. Planned Parenthood in America, that is their job. He said he's going to close them, he's going to stop them. He is pro-life. He is the one that is saying, Israelites, wherever you are, I'm going to fight for you. Which any leader. All other leaders are today, with coronavirus, they said, wherever Israelites are, get them, kill them, nobody will make noise. Even if somebody complains, don't worry about that, we are in charge. We have all the money, we have all the power, we have all the gun, we have everything. Kill them. But Donald Trump said it's not like that. You can't do that. That's why they hate him. And that's why Yahweh said, I am going to help you. The kings of the earth, they will come. He will subdue them. So let's pray for somebody like that. And by peradventure, Yahweh will use him to make pronouncements. Maybe by next 4 years, something will happen. Israel will find their feet. Let's rest the matter here. Next week, we continue. And we have just established that Israel is about to take a flight into Egypt. A flight that will help them, a flight that will bring some kind of salvation for 7 years. And after the 7 years, they will be stationed, stabilized, live there. Unfortunately, Israel will forget Yahweh. That is the most unfortunate thing. As we all have forgotten Yahweh, we went to the idols of the world, the Jesus of today, the laws of today, the gods of today. That is not his name. That is the name that Gentiles go with. And when somebody is into that area, Yahweh will say, I don't know them. I don't know you. Do you know that in Matthew chapter 7, Yeshua made a strong, powerful statement? Said in the latter day, when he returns, many will say, I prayed in your house, I prayed in your name, I prayed, I did this, I healed the sick, I delivered the oppressed, I healed the... Yahweh will say, get away. I don't know. You lawless, you worker of iniquity. Lawless person. What is lawless person? Somebody that break the covenant that Joseph kept. Somebody that break the covenant of Yahweh. The covenant commandments. Anybody that breaks it is a lawless, is one that commits iniquity.
That's right.
So we must know the truth, and only the truth will set us free. Don't think that the religions of the world is the way to go, including Christianity. No. Christianity is religion founded by Satan. Satan is the author of religion. Yahweh is not into religion. He doesn't profess religion. His own is the covenant. If you want to go to him, follow his covenant. If you want to find his way, follow the covenant. If you want to, serve him, follow the covenant. His way is covenant way, and Israel are his people. That's why I said, you are my holy nation. Once you keep the covenant way of Yahweh, you are into his holiness. You are into his righteousness. You are into fulfilling the works. And that is what he says, that at the end of the day, you will be completing the Torah, you will be fulfilling the Torah, which is Yeshua himself, the word that was made flesh. That is whom we are to follow. That word that was made flesh, Yeshua. And not Jesus. Jesus is not the word that was made flesh. This is a name that was given by the Roman Empire Catholicism. They used that name to compete or to remove the name of the one we should be following, Yeshua. So don't be confused. Now that you know the truth, follow the truth, and you see how wonderful you work things out in your life. And he will perfect you and bring you into boom, into plenty, into victory, into redemption, into life, into eternal life, into everlasting life, which he promised that those that keep his word will end. In fact, automatically said they have ended eternal life. Let's close by reading John chapter 5, verse 24. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that heareth my word and believeth on him that sent me has everlasting life, and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death unto life. May Yahweh bless you. May Yahweh make you strong. May Yahweh bolden you to continue to uphold the covenant way, his truth, his word. And when he comes, may he find you not wanting, but fit and comfortably following him to the end. Hallelujah. Yahweh bless you.
I will love you, Yahweh.